our final topic. So this was a last minute addition because we found out from Deadline. Marvel Studios saw the fan feedback to Thunderbolts, and since they got the Russo brothers back and they need to work safe now, the director of the Thunderbolts is number one in line, Jake Schreier, to direct the X-Men reboot. So,
yeah, it's surprising with this, but not surprising that they're going to pivot really hard to the next 10 years. It's going to be more mutant focused.
The next 10 years is just pivoting away from every mistake they made during the last two phases and saying, just do the safe thing and make it good. It's like, and you know what? After seeing Thunderbolts and what he pulled off, I mean, I trust he can do the X-Men, especially with a more grounded story. And I put that in quotation marks, like it doesn't need to be over the top. He can make Sinister or Arcade work. Like Arcade could be a perfect stand-in for exactly what they did with Sentry. It's like Arcade puts you
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, let's go real out of our mind. Let's get Mojo with it.
I was thinking Mojo as well. Yep.
Truly, and that's the thing I love about this is that the reason I think he's an interesting pick is because Thunderbolts, it begins feeling like it's going to be some type of grounded, again, we all punch and shoot and we have one person who phases through walls, oversimplifying ghost powers, but it's so on paper it's like, okay, like it starts out grounded, it starts out with these people who for the most part haven't really had a run-in with the more highfalutin elements of the MCU. None of these folks, save for Bucky, none of these folks have been like running into gods and aliens and monsters, and then out of nowhere we get like the Homelander-ified version of Sentry, which I know it's mostly Sentry from the comics, but that little dash of Homelander, I thought that was the perfect little extra sauce. But so I would love that for X-Men, because again, like I don't think grounded X-Men works. I think like not as silly. I think that I think aesthetically it'll look, in terms of costuming, more like Deadpool and Wolverine than it does the kind of like slapped together dingy uniforms of the Thunderbolts. But building to this idea of like, we're going to start at the kind of like a baseline level that everybody can agree on, and then build to something kind of just beyond our imaginations. Like the way that the Void operates, it isn't just incredibly comic booky, it is abstract.
Yeah.
In the way that those powers are presented with the voiding. I think what he talked in the interview about how like it's shot from a specific angle and it's like a second and a half to make that effect work, to get the little flattening effect. And I could totally see that working here with a Arcade, Mr. Sinister, Mojo. We could even get into the Shi'ar stuff with him, where it's like we start in like a quote unquote real world scenario and just quickly build to something incredibly fantastic.
And also, you say that, but like what he showed me with the banter and conversation in this is that he could pull off like 16 to 25-year-olds in the X Mansion with flawless execution, as long as the script is good. Like the way that the banter was working in Thunderbolts, I could see exactly why Marvel would see the end result and people going, wow, that was great, and go, so he's got that down. The X-Men need that. Like, again, as somebody who grew up watching those X-Men films from Fox, which were loosely X-Men at best, when they hit the X-Men parts, it was those little moments about bickering and the characters standing out and clashing. And like, I think you need that for the X-Men. And I think that he is automatically the best choice because, let's be real, we're not getting Thunderbolts 2. So like, yeah, X-Men is the optimal choice, I would say. Mitch, how do you feel about this whole scenario?
I'm not entirely sure, if I'm perfectly honest. Because it's the same going back to the Russos coming back for Doomsday, right? It's like, get someone new. I don't want everything. I don't want to fall back into the trap we had before of everyone going, it's just the same thing over and over again. You got the same directors doing this and that. I'm fine if he does do it. I'd rather someone else. Don't go back to we have to rely on what we have. Obviously, he is still new to the MCU. He's only done the one movie, but I prefer someone else. I think the biggest thing they need to do is prove that they have a bigger pool of talent, like in the directors and writers, than people think they do.
Well, don't worry. If WB goes the way,
I
was gonna say, don't worry. If WB goes the way they're going, James Gunn will be back directing something for Marvel within a couple years. So, yeah.
True. Yes.
God, there's a universe where I would have loved to have seen a James Gunn X-Men.
I think they should maybe look for
Guardians,
somebody
no.
after Guardians. No. Tristan, though.
That's not me dogging on Guardians. I love this movie.
It's fine for me. Like, he did a phenomenal job, and the inspiration, how he got the outlines to people happening in the void, which I saw, which was just it's from the context of how it is from a sad moment in human history, but it's really well done in how he incorporated into people getting voided, which I didn't think that they could possibly happen, and how the concept of being in the void I really loved, especially when you get into the characters themselves trying to analyze their own personal psyche and their own hang-ups about themselves, trying to establish themselves as something more than what they were. So if he can do that again for the X-Men, I think it's going to be a really good couple movies that he makes.
I'll say if he does get it, it will be a great X-Men movie. I just kind of want someone else.
It's like the John Watts Spider-Man scenario where sure, I would have loved to see him do a fourth Spider-Man, but also somebody fresh. And I mean, look, Marvel literally saw gold with Dustin Daniel. They're like, well, he did direct the hell out of Shang-Chi, and since we're not doing that right now, why not just put him on Spider-Man? Like, I think they realize when they hit gold now, they got to stick with it before they lose the talent. You know, I think it's
which is completely fair. Part of me is like, I think with the X-Men, when you're trying, obviously the X-Men are going to be like the main focal point going forward after Secret Wars. I think the way they're talking about going back to the basics of how they make everything, you know, less movies, less TV shows, like go back to that mindset of get an indie director for X-Men. Bring someone up with that franchise. I think that's kind of what it needs. It's just been my thinking the entire time, but
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think also like with the you know, is it Dustin Daniel or Daniel Dustin? I always say it in the wrong order.
I believe it's Dustin Daniel, but
Dustin Daniel.
I could be wrong as well.
I mean, but I also think that it's kind of like a, you know, I don't want to necessarily say safe, but I think it is a very like obvious but inspired choice to go, oh, we saw the way he directed, like grounded, not in terms of like realism, but grounded in terms of like both feet planted on the ground combat in Shang-Chi. And well, he did that with such style and panache. Imagine what he could do with somebody who can run up a wall, drop down from the ceiling, hop back up, and take somebody out from a different vector. Like, and you're directing the web swinging and all of that. That makes a lot of sense. And when you look at Thunderbolts and the way that it like kind of like straddles this line of, you know, darkness and, you know, a kind of oppressive sense of loneliness and, you know, being a misfit among misfits and just absolute hokiness, you know, like, lest we forget, the void is defeated by the power of friendship. Like, you know, for as you know, gritty and grounded as this movie is, it ends with this all-powerful being stronger than all of the Avengers rolled into one. He's beaten with a group hug. And being able to straddle that amount of, like, you know, again, like very profound interpersonal turmoil with sometimes you just need to hug it out and the power of unity. I think it's also kind of a layup decision. And while I do agree, I do want to see like another generation of voices kind of be taken to the next echelon by the MCU, the way it was kind of like their whole bag in the past. I also think that the X-Men have had such a rocky history in film.
Oh, yeah.
Where like for every absolute banger, there is an utter stinker. And then most of them just kind of fall in the middle ground. I think it is wise for them to go, okay, this guy can do Found Family. This guy can do, The Power of Friendship. This guy can do I Don't Know Who I Am, and I don't think I quite like it. I think I'm a freak. I think I hate myself. And those are ideas that I think will be core to making the X-Men safe.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
So as much as I agree that I would love to see like a brand new like visionary come into it, this is a great pick.
I mean, let's be real about this. They don't want to lose him to the Sergeant Rock movie. That's all I'm saying. They know Sergeant Rock will be $3 billion box office. That's what it's about. I just have to take a shot at Sergeant Rock. Even I'm like, well, I was gonna watch it, but I'm not even a big fan.
I said it the minute they announced it. That is this decade's. See, I can't remember the movie.
Black Hawks. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
DC every decade have that one movie they announced.
That one movie,
and then it never happens.
So, I suppose when it's officially announced, if it's announced that he's directing, we'll be back. When they announce the director, we'll be back to talk about this, everybody. So stay tuned because there's going to be plenty more X-Men talk coming at us down the road, and of course, 2 members topics. So stay tuned. Which